So, hello, I'm Paul, and I've spent the last week checking down the back of the sofa to try and find out where Christmas disappeared to so quickly. That's probably why I knocked my internet cable out.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Andrew, and last week I discovered eyeballs can grow fungus on them. And this, oh God, don't even begin. This is Paul and Andrew watch all of Friday the 13th, where after on our 12th week, or 12th episode, sorry, 13th week of Friday the 13th watching, we're finally getting around to watching Friday the 13th. Because it's the 2009 version, and they thought we'll call it Friday the 13th, because, yeah. Anyway. Do we have anyone in the audience? Hey, we got Scarlet Tiger Chili saying hello, which is lovely. But yeah. And Paul, how was your time since we last spoke?
Yes, over the last fortnight, I've been struggling to get back into the work routine, involving having naps after work every single day just because I can't cope with a full day at the moment. I've binge-watched all 5 seasons of Lucifer, and that was while I was doing some odd craft project that involves cutting up plastic and sandpaper.
And what did you think of all 5 seasons of Lucifer in one nice little lump?
It flows quite nicely from one to the other while you're paying attention to something else.
Yeah, it's basically like half crime procedural, half kind of theological spookiness, and a lot of sex.
Yeah,
very sex positive, very fun. Cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was entertaining.
Entertaining. That sounds good. It's so weird talking to you when you're frozen. Am I frozen to you?
Or are you frozen for me? Yeah, I can hear you, but can't see you.
Oh, you're coming back now. Tiger Chili will decide who is frozen and who isn't. But the sound is working. Paul is frozen, Andy is not. I told you my internet was better than yours. What have I been doing?
You're right. It's my fault.
I have mostly been suffering for 2 weeks with an egregiously horrible eyeball. Yes, we raised £1,030 with the UE Bowl ball, and then
that sounds like you've helped 36 people to me.
Shit ton of people, and you helped as well.
Fantastic.
And then my eyeball,
yeah. Fantastic job by everybody involved.
Yes, absolutely. And then my eyeball just went, fuck that shite. And yeah, fungal infection in 3 places on the eyeball. That was a hell of a day finding out about that.
Yeah,
it's exciting. I got to go to Addenbrooke's Hospital, where all the people with the plague are. It was all very safe. The NHS...
I bet that made you feel even better.
Jesus. Everything was very safe. Everything was very lovely. I can report that the people at the NHS are doing everything they can. I just wish I could report it as an anecdotal rather than a first-hand thing. But yeah. So, your life has been very dull. My life has been far too interesting. Let's put it that way.
We need somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle would be the kind of life we'd like.
Yeah.
But yes. So, away from that triviality, let's ask Paul the important questions of life. Like, how do you feel the series is going so far? Now, be careful with this, because after we've watched this and done the whole of Fridays, we're going to be asking you, how do you feel about the series as a whole? So don't overreach on this point.
Yeah.
How do you
think?
After part 11 last fortnight?
11, yes. After part 11, I have really actually quite enjoyed the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some odd duffins, but not anywhere near as many as I was expecting. So as a whole, the series so far has been entertaining, and that's what I want from my films. So I've been very pleased with it, surprisingly better than I was expecting it to be.
Even if part 11 was, frankly, a bit of a duffer.
Yeah, it was a bit dull, wasn't it?
It was a bit. The Freddy fans loved it. The Jason fans were fucking come on.
I could understand why, but very
Yep.
different pace from what we've been watching for the last 12 or 10 weeks before that.
Yes. From here on in, let us not argue whether it was weeks or fortnights. Yeah. It's definitely. I mean, it's been a roller coaster. It's been an up and down of excitement and of emotions and probably of numbers as well. Is there any way you think you'd be able to express that in some form of chart-based exploratory narrative?
A chart, you say? Or I might just be able to do something involving a chart.
Oh my god!
Let me see what I've got available for you, shall I?
Does that mean it's time for
Right, so I can't see
Paul's
what's going on.
exciting world of
Can you
Friday
see
the
my
13th statistics? Woohoo!
Yes, I can even see that on the screen, so I know that it's working. Brilliant. So welcome back to another installment. Today, as it's the last one of these, I'm going to look at the whole series, including the film we're going to watch in a few minutes. So here's some series stats. There have been 12 films overall, split over 30-year run. So it's from 1980 to 2009. It's lasted 1,110 minutes or 18 and a half hours of our lives we spent watching Friday the 13th by the end of today. That gives us an average of 92 and a half minutes per film. So if we look at all the films, we can see they've been fairly consistent in length, with Jason Takes Manhattan the longest at 100 minutes, and Part 2 and Jason Lives being the shortest at only 87 minutes each. Now, there have been 210 kills in the series.
Yes,
so that averages at 17 and a half kills per film. Quite interesting to see the half ones, but there we go. Or more importantly, that's 5 minutes and 17 seconds between each kill, which is quite a nice pace, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's also because I've been keeping tabs of time to kill, and then the adjusted average, and yeah, it's been about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the first kill, and then there's normally a double kill somewhere, and then it carries on until about the last 5-10 minutes when there's no one but Jason to get perished. So yeah,
it's been fairly good. Good pace of kills, I think. Given the fairly consistent film length, it's no surprise that the number of kills and minutes between kills ties up nicely. Jason Goes to Hell gets the top spot with 27 kills, averaging 3.3 minutes per kill. While Part 2 is the lowest with only 9 kills and averages 9.7 minutes between each kill.
But it did have the sequence that made us feel the most uncomfortable with the woman swimming, with the young lady swimming. That was
so on to money now. There's a total budget for this whole series of $8.9 million. But if we inflate that up today's money, that's $131.7 million. The total box office is $466.5 million, which is $932 million in today's money. That's not bad, is it?
That's coming on for
best part of $1 billion made at the box office.
Well, I was going to say that's a summer blockbuster like Star Wars these days.
Yep. So it's pretty comparable for the whole lot, but yeah, that's not bad at all. If we look at all of those figures together, we can see that Friday the 13th was still the most profitable, with 189 million in adjusted box office, and we estimate 185 million of that was profit. Jason X did the worst at the box office, only taking 25 million, and estimated to have lost around 16 million. So, as mentioned, the box office took in 932 million across the series, and 132 that went on film budget. We estimate another 132 of other costs, and that leaves them about $669 million of profit. That's nice. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. So that effectively gives a return of investment of over 3 times what was spent on the films. So, yeah, not bad putting some money into one of these.
Yeah.
looking at the reviews, there's an average Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 29%.
You
The
don't
audience,
say.
yeah, the audiences did like it better with an average of 41%, and IMDb liked the series even more with an average of 54%. So if we look at all of those films compared, we can see the original is still consistently ranked the best with scores of between 61 and 65% across those three. While Jason Takes Manhattan was panned by Rotten Tomatoes critics with a score of just 8%. And Jason Goes to Hell was the least favourite of Rotten Tomatoes audience with 24 and IMDb with 42%.
It is generally considered one of the worst movies.
Worst ones, yeah. So there we go. So those are all my statistics. And I know this is normally your part of the show, Andy, but I actually got some feedback on my stats section. So I wanted to share it with you guys. I did check if I could include it in the show, and I was told, don't you dare tell anybody I said that. So I'm not going to tell anybody who said it. So yeah, done by Anonymous. Just going to scroll down a little bit so I can see what's going on. I didn't think my opinion of you could go any lower. I can't believe you did stats comparing horror films. Actually, I can, and that's probably worse. And finally, why did I marry such a geek?
I am.
So yeah, there we go. That's my review that I've been given, and I have followed the letter of the instructions and not told anybody who gave me that review.
I think
it will remain a mystery forevermore, I'm sure.
I think on behalf of Scarlet Tiger Chili, on behalf of myself, on behalf of stat fans, I think
thank you.
If nothing else, but purely for all the previous stats, for all the future stats to come, and for just absolutely outdoing yourself on that set of wondrous stats, I thank you for bringing a level of quantitative analysis to this horror movie commentary show that I don't think has been replicated anywhere else.
I think that's a very accurate assessment, so thank you very much.
I know art is more complicated than numbers, but when you boil it down to that, it becomes art again. So yes. Thank you very much. Right, I'm going to hide that. Least the public is overwrought with emotion and cannot continue in service. That was a roller coaster ride. Do you know what else is going to be a roller coaster ride?
Oh, do you have some amazing facts that can give us highs and lows?
Maybe. So,
excellent.
Here's my amazing facts about Friday the 13th. He says, trying to find his facts. God, I'm so organized. Anyway, so last time we're in 2003?
Yeah, I think it was 2003.
2003, which was also the year that Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out. That was by a company called Platinum Dunes. So it took 4 companies 6 years to make the movie we were about to see. Pretty exciting stuff. The whole thing happened because basically the people handling the show, this series, saw what Platinum Dunes did in 2003 with Texas Chainsaw Massacre Reboot as a franchise, then with the Amityville Horror Reboot 2005. So New Line wanted to make money from the series again because which I don't get, because frankly the one prior to that just absolutely shanked money out the window. So Paramount agreed, which was nice. So you had Paramount and New Line getting Platinum Dunes involved in this. and then Crystal Lake Entertainment agreed, and that was the company owned by Sean S. Cunningham, which kind of owned something involved in it. It all gets very liturgical later on.
Mhm.
Anyway, so one of the first things the producers, who were Andy Form and Brad Fuller, actually producing it, with Michael Bay is co-owner of Platinum Dunes, so he got listed on it, and Sean S. Cunningham is listed because that's part of his contract. One of the first things they did was they got the rights to the music from the first 4 films, which was composed originally performed by our second, maybe equal first favorite people in this series. It's Harry. He's back. It's Harry Manfredi. So they got all the rights to that. They didn't get Harry into it though, and they did this apparently with his blessing, where they basically got all the rights for all the tunes he'd made. They then gave it to this new guy called Steve Wolanski, and they gave him free reign over the score of the 4 movies. But they said, we want you to put these together and make something new.
Okay.
So that's a bit of a foreshadowing to the next amazing facts, which is it covers 4 movies. It's a reimagining of the first 4, and there was an attempt to make a more sympathetic and more Jason, to get the audience a bit more involved in it. They didn't want to make him like too sympathetic, like they did with Texas Chainsaw America. And that went really strange. I do not like the remake. Andy Frome said, I think there are moments we want to address, like how does the hockey mask happen? It'll happen differently in our movies than in the third one. Where is Jason from? Why do these killings happen? What is Crystal Lake? Other than the obvious answer of anything he has to hand, and it's a big lake where he kills people. As in, anyway, in 2007, Damien Shannon and Mark Swift, these are the 2 that wrote Freddy vs. Jason. Maybe about a thing, we'll find out. Hired to write a script. The rules they started out with included the teenage characters needing to sound normal. They were very determined that they didn't want them to be like Jinkies or any shit like that. Just the strange that they weren't to try and Scooby-Doo the situation to figure out who Jason was or anything like that. They weren't going to solve a mystery. They were being hunted down, so they were like, right, these guys are going to leg it, which is fair. And that Jason had to act like someone in the woods surviving off the land. They also wanted to avoid the then popular post-Scream self-referential parody and post-modern approach that had been happening within horror at that time, and they would have more of an 80s straightforward feel, but not like this was also post Saw and post Hostel, so they didn't want it to go like the Gorno path. They wanted to keep it slasher but not Gorno, so they were doing they were trying something quite complicated, but it's very important to remember this is a sequel. Now, the reason I say that is because Victor Miller, who was the writer of the original Friday the 13th, had a contractual clause that would make the producers pay more to him if they made a remake.
Okay. Interesting.
So when he heard all about this and heard it was Friday the 13th, he took them to court. And in court, it was decided that it was a sequel. So he got his money, but he didn't get as much money as if it was a as if it was a remake. However, they then started advertising it as a remake. So legally, it is a sequel that retells the story of the first 4 movies. But promotionally, it's a remake, and those are 2 very different things. I don't begin to know. Anyway, it was shot in Texas, which is cool. for something that's based as always in New Jersey. This started in 2008, so this is a pretty slow and solid development for one of these films. They had like a year to write the script.
Wow.
Yeah.
Luxury.
I mean,
What did they do with the other 9 months?
I don't know. So this was from April to June. So April, May, they had like 3 months for primary principal photography. Then they had additional scenes shot at Camp Fern in Marshall, Texas. So it was primarily Austin, Texas, and then they used this Camp Fern in Marshall, Texas. They had the director on this, and they specifically headhunted this guy, was Marcus Nitzel from Germany.
Right.
Now, he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2003. He did Frankenstein 2004. So he had worked with Platinum Dunes, and he was kind of in their production system. I'm not saying he's a bad director. He's very good at giving the client what they want, which is fine. As also because he also had a huge back catalogue that included Spice Up Your Life, 1997 by the Spice Girls, which I actually have to say is one of the most cyberpunk music videos ever. And I don't get to say that often. And obviously the most pivotal moment of his career was when he directed the video for So Sad to Say by the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. So we got to be nice. We also got a new Jason. That's Derek Mears. He managed to get the job, despite the studio almost passing up on him because he's a really pleasant chap.
What? That's never been a criteria for not being Jason.
They're just like, well, I know Kane Hodder is obviously awesome, but apparently he was just the Derek was just really nice and friendly and amiable and all that. So they were seriously, they were like, no, this guy can't do it. He's too, I mean, he's tall and all that, but he's a nice tall person, not a scary tall person.
Yeah. I'm sorry, we've had too many people auditioning today for the role of Jason who are nice. Have we got any serial killers in real life who could audition?
Yeah, or someone with a bit of group. But no, the guy is actually, I mean, he's a stuntman by trade, but he's also very much an actor. He's an actor stuntman rather than a daredevil stuntman, if you get what I mean. So his entire approach to this, and I've seen a couple of videos of this guy discussing it. He had had two ways of approaching it. Number one, good old fashioned Greek mask work. I don't know how much you know about Greek theatre, but they used to have these solid, unmoving masks that they did these really solid performances with, and there was this idea of a disconnect between the actor and the mask, and so people knew it was artifice, and it's a very precise way of doing it. It's a very traditional way of doing the mask work within it, which really is impactful and powerful. And the other thing he said was that he compared his performance to stock car racing, where he was the driver, but the special effects team were the pit crew. And the reason he said that was because he was like, it was a joint performance. You know, you have to have your crew, you listen to your crew, and the crew works with you to get everything you can out of it, and you have ideas on the field, but they're like, it's just this idea of it being a joint performance, especially now because this is moving into like the CGI era. So he was very much seeing him being the vehicle for a team effort, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice. So he's obviously got some level of faith that even though he's been told to do something that doesn't make sense to him there and then because he can't see it, it makes sense in somebody's mind and they'll sort it out.
Yeah, it's a level of faith, but it's also a level of adaptation and working with. Whereas Kane Hodder, he just puts on the gear, and you're like, fucking hell, that's Jason. This guy was very much more. He was about no. This is what it's going to look like on film rather than on set, and he was very cool chap. Yeah. The rest of the cast was pretty hard to pick, actually. They had a large number of recasts, including a couple that were like literally days beforehand. And
All
the
right.
casting people behind it said this is purely down to it being 13 young actors with key roles. So they were just constantly switching and changing to try and get the dynamic. And because they were all like really young, over the course of the recruitment process and all that, lots of people changed, became unavailable, and literally changed in some, they're teenagers.
Yep.
They become different people. So that was fun. But other than that, no more the days of drug-fueled debauchery that we were used to. This was a fairly sane and sensible thing. And I fucking rang the bell. Cost 19 million, made 92.7 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
so
not bad, is it? Yeah.
Just absolutely shat money, and that's purely at the box office, because they were also like the people behind it were like, yeah, we're also going to sell huge amounts on home video. They're even looking at, like, this was the starting of video on demand and online, and they were like, yeah, this is just going to carry on shitting money. So it's probably, other than the first one, possibly the second, it's just like been one of the most long-term profitables. It was released on Friday 13th, February 2009.
Oh, good for them. Yep.
And that helped. They got back on the old trick. It just absolutely crucified everyone else at the box office. And yeah, the critics hated it. Would you like some choice comments?
Go on, I'd love some choice comments, please.
Okay. This is from Andrew Le Urban of the Urban Cinephile. Thinly disguised as a movie, Friday the 13th is a series of overused genre conventions glued together by the flimsiest of stories.
All right, sounds fairly good so far.
Yep. Bill Gnotsky of the Arizona Central. Life is full of things that are better in our memories than they were when they were around. Claudia Pug of USA Today. While it's billed as a reimagining of the horror franchise, this Friday is more like a rehash, delivering just what you expect and nothing more.
Oh, good.
Mike Mays. Everything that's foreshadowed takes place, and everything that it's supposed to happen inevitably does.
So these are all pretty good reviews so far.
So far, I did actually. One of the things when I was trolling through the reviews, I did notice there was actually kind of this weird reverence for the first 2 or 3 movies, where they were like, "This is not a patch on the original movie," and it's like 20 years down the line, people were thinking, "Ooh, maybe." Brian Jurgens of CampBlood.org, a boring retread that downgrades one of our great masked men to being a hillbilly with mummy issues and no sense for decorating.
Okay.
My second favourite bit of criticism from Joan Wirt of the Baton Rouge Advocate. As movies about killing sprees go, Friday the 13th is okay. And my favourite piece of criticism of the movie was when producer Michael Bay walked out of the premiere stating the movie featured too much sex. Yes, the damn producer.
Film, was there enough explosions for him?
He was. Yes, he's back. He was. He just didn't dig it. Fuck him, frankly. Oh, it's Michael Bay.
Thank you very much for even more amazing facts.
I am glad. Ooh, I just lost the Miro. Give me a moment. It's. I'm glad you like the amazing facts. I think they bring a certain.
Very interesting.
Yeah, certain something. Where are we? For people who are interested, because it's going to turn up when I do this. Here is the current Hall of Fridays. with Freddy versus Jason. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the final Friday. Maybe I'm going to try and get you to stop sitting on the fence of a couple of movies so we can get an actual final list. But that's where everything is. This is what it has to stand up to. And as he goes looking for the next piece of the script,
I think it's almost time for me to do a countdown.
You're not even going to believe the setup for this movie. Wait for it. A group of young adults visit a boarded up campsite named Crystal Lake, where they soon encounter the mysterious Jason Voorhees and his deadly intentions.
That's pretty straightforward, isn't it?
How are you now? Now you're aware of all this. Now you know all that. And Christ, they had a year to write the script. How are you feeling about this one? Where do you think it's going to write? Because this is kind of the era when you got a bit more. I know you've never been like not into horror, but this was kind of like when there was that the mid 2Ks resurgence in horror, and it got a bit more on the side, and you started watching. I mean, how do you think?
It'll be interesting to see how they've combined 4 films into one.
Yes, especially as it's an hour and a half movie.
Yeah,
so it's
a
bit
of a risk of them trying to rush it. But it's going to be interesting. I'm surprised at the fact that they've decided to jump straight in with Jason. So not really rebooting the first one as such, but reimagining it.
Well, legally, it's a sequel.
My curiosity is piqued.
Does everyone have their first kill beverage to hand and ready? Because this will be the final first kill beverage. Cool. In which case, all we need to do... Oh, the audience is ready. All we need to do is say, Paul, we are at your command.
Okay. So in 3, 2, 1, and play.
I feel kind of excited.
Yeah, so you've got echoes of the original music there.
And Paul's gone! Paul's internet has finally crapped the bed and gone. Here we go, Platinum Dune.
As soon as we start out.
Everything is red, blood red. The blood.
Yes.
In association with Michael Bay. He even gets his own hissing headline. It's...
Yeah. It's a Michael Bay film and there hasn't been an explosion yet. It's not right. Oh, there we go. That'll do. Oh, okay. That's a name I recognise.
You do?
Yes.
From what?
Jared Padalecki. He's in Supernatural.
5 excellent series on that show. Thank God they didn't drag it out any further.
So this is what makes it a sequel, I take it.
I mean, they're kind of... I don't know. Oh! Okay!
That's an early start to the...
That was a bit earlier than I thought. Are we counting that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we are. It's sort of a flashback, but sort of not.
Is it or isn't it?
It is in black and white.
No, the mob has spoken. Hang on. Produced by Sean S. Cunningham, even though he did nothing. Could you? Slancher, right. Well, I've got some of the good stuff. Kill for mother. So yes. Salutations. We're at the end of the road. Hang on. So if it was 1980, assuming he was what, like 12? And then it set us 2009. That means he's got to be late 40s?
Yeah.
Mountain lion. Am I going to have to do another map reckoning?
It's the mountain lion that's walking around with the polar bear.
Wow, Merkin Bay really is a prude if that causes upset. Yeah, so Jason would have been about my age, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your age as well, roughly, when this film happens.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I thought they were trying to find Camp Crystal Lake, but they're obviously trying to find something else.
Okay. So they're camping to find drugs.
Yes.
Ooh. Oh, they're hipsters!
Yeah. So is this bit set in 1984?
No, this is set now.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, it
All these stories, you wonder how they know that he was there, because obviously Jason's not telling anybody.
yeah, but that's covered part 2. But yeah, in America, retard is used as a technical phrase still, although it isn't. It's habitual, but it's not good. Really, not good.
Okay.
Well, it took a direction I wasn't expecting. Yeah. So very.
Gonna keep you on your toes
Yeah, you can. Although I think you've already. I don't think you actually got
tonight.
to say "keep me on my toes" until you died. That was.
Yeah. Just disappearing somewhere.
Yes, he does. So to clarify, she's in the middle of fucking nowhere, trying to camp, and she doesn't want to be. She wants to say it's not a good thing to take beer when like camping, because it is not efficient. You need spirits, otherwise you're just not going to be able to carry enough.
It's not the best chat up line ever, is it?
I don't think it was the chat up line. I think they're going out.
Yeah. Was close.
See,
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to hear my commentary because I keep balking today.
yeah, everything bogs in. At least he has the decency. I mean, at least he had the decency to get the hint and just leave.
Yep.
That's.
Yeah.
It's a shame he's going to get slaughtered like a sheep in a mincer. But he's a nice chap that's about to die painfully. Oh my god, it's 2008 and they listen to 80 power ballads.
I wonder if this guy is supposed to be like an 80s file, which is why he knows so much about Jason and is wearing the Star Wars shirt and listening to the 80s music.
My god. No. Finish your piss.
He's found it.
He's found the sacred cannabis. I think he's a little too happy there. No,
No,
that
in
got the job
hindsight,
done.
trying to steal somebody's cannabis patch might not have been the best idea for him.
I don't know if that was stealing. I imagine Jason is not a huge partaker. He might be. I don't know. No. He's like what?
It's in the new version.
He's late teenage, early 20s. He's got a hot-looking girlfriend, and has survived so long. I don't think so. I don't have this mental image of Jason rolling up a blunt. I just don't.
Don't smoke your stock, man.
Not quite what I meant. This gentleman has decided to go hunting for strange things rather than getting it on with his girlfriend. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's a choice.
It's a decision. Which could have been 10 years ago, technically. I mean, obviously not what he means. Only a pedant would made that observation. God bless her. Oh, God. No, he did not. I made a pendant of all the people I took apart.
It's all the whistles from the camp counselors.
Really?
Oh, nice. So if everything that's foreshadowed is in the film, according to one of the critics, then that's probably a foreshadowing of someone impersonating the mother again.
This is where I get problems with remakes. Not only, as a rule, do you generally know roughly what's happening, but even if you didn't, they've totally removed half the mystique already by saying what happened in 1 and 2.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's
Michael
the perfectly
Bay.
timed shadow.
Yeah, all I can think of is Austin Powers. It's all I can think of at that point.
Yes.
That's got to be a really pretty warm evening, considering how flimsy those tents are. Yeah, they're in Texas, but they're supposed to be in New Jersey. It's just in New Jersey that really looks like Texas. Oh, nice.
Okay.
Oh, good lord!
In the sleeping bag. Oh, sleeping bag over the what?
So
Okay, I
she's in a
wasn't
sleeping
expecting
bag
that
over
one.
the fire. That's like really not pleasant. That definitely felt a lot more modern horror to me. That's taken pointers from the revivalism. I expect it to be a bit more brutal because time moves on.
It was a little bit odd in how many stages there were in it because she wasn't in the sleeping bag. So Jason had obviously put her in the sleeping bag, then
Tied
strung
her
her
up
up over the
throne.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah. Whereas normally
not as
he's
opportune.
more a what's around. Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, new timeline, new Jason.
Hmm?
So this is kind of like a mishmash of 2 and 3, I think.
Mm.
Well, it's not even 2 and 3. It's kind of a rework of 2 in some ways.
I was gonna say, don't crawl along the floor of that low down.
I was gonna say he is not gonna have a good day.
No, he's not having a good time with this. So Jason whooshing sounds now.
the first thought I've got
Our
is
first
that
25 minutes was the intro.
yeah, this is the first one that really feels like a different kind of horror. In that Freddy vs. Jason felt very much like a very gradual build up on like the 80s style. So it's like a very gradual build. This feels like modern horror, even though it's like only 6 years after the last one. So this is the tonal change.
Yeah, very, very different pace to those kills. Very different style of Jason as well.
We've had quick Jasons before, but yeah, it's a
He was
very
a lot more dynamic.
It's good. I can't see why it's for. Yeah.
Yeah, they've covered quite a few points from the first few already, haven't they?
I think the expectations are set. We know what the enemy is. We know what the enemy can do. So it's a lot faster paced, even just internally. It's and it's the light. It's going to sound strange, but the lighting is also a lot more. I don't know the technical phrase for it, but it's a lot darker. It's like more. It looked grittier, a lot more stylized than it was previously. Because the lighting before was pretty open and all that. So it's an absolute departure from the previous styles we've seen. Which as a reimagining, that's what you want.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Wish it had a bit more mystery. Oh, he's been in real films as well.
How many thousands of people do go missing each year in New Jersey? Because he's implying a lot of thousands.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go to New Jersey. Well, about 600,000 a year go missing in America. 52
really? Okay.
states. Yeah, 52 states. So, yeah. 16,000 people. Okay, 16,000 people go missing in New Jersey every year. That's worrying. Oh god, I hate this. That exchange was nice. So 25 serial killers. That's
Wow, that's an interesting stat.
yeah. I hate that man's t-shirt with a massive passion.
Hmm.
And they're probably overstating, so it doesn't look like they're shit at their job. So this is definitely part 3, but oh god. Okay, well we got the drugs, we got the unmarried stacks. That's all good, clean fun. We got the jerk that we're looking forward to dying. Got a moderately reasonable mix of ethnicity. Well, that's cool and interesting. But yeah, we've also got the massive problem of cell phones, which people instantly have to nerf because reasons, as opposed, oh, there's no cell reception, as opposed to let's come up with an intelligent way of solving that problem. Now we live in the world of cell phones. I think my favorite one was in the movie Shrooms. Where they basically put them all in a bag because they're trying to get away, and their whole thing is like, if we're having a trip, because they're supposed to be getting loaded on these absolutely powerful hallucinogenics, and the whole thing is, yeah, man, we've got to turn them off, and we're going to put them in a bag. And they're like, why are we turning them off? It's like, well, because if our alarm goes off when we're all tripping, it could go really wrong. Oh, and why are we putting them in a bag? Because we're about to go tripping. We want to have them all somewhere nice and safe so no one bloody loses it. It's like, great.
Yeah.
And then the killer finds the bag and throws it in the room, but the actual setup to it, it's like someone went, how can we get rid of these in a smart way? And it actually worked. Ooh.
So is that Crazy Ralph?
Again, I hate people who have t-shirts like that. It's like, I want to be edgy and I want to be offensive, but I'm going to star out the swear word. It's like,
what does everybody like that I can insult? Christmas.
number one, that's so juvenile. Dude, if you're going, this is why I will never make a badge with starred out swearing. It's just the joke is that it started out swearing. If you get what I mean?
Yes.
But I just. Absolute slime ball. At least they haven't forgotten the art of like making you really want to see people die.
Yeah, see, this is how you get sympathy for the killer. Not that you give the killer some sort of tragic backstory and feel empathy for them. It's just you make all the victims people who you really do actually want to see get heads chopped off and stabbed and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, they I've got.
Yeah, that's
Chekhov's
a
one
chipper with a
click.
hook, no less.
Oh God.
That's like an
Sons and
entire shed full of. Oh,
Chekhov just came in his pants.
Satan's candy store, we're going to call this one.
Okay.
Oh, he's getting more and more likable by the second, isn't he?
Oh God. Who does he remind me of? He almost. This almost. Ugh. That yes. McConaughey and Mary. Yes, it's the McConaughey. It does that sleazy. Yeah, that was the uncanny valley. That was wrong. Yes, that doesn't help me find her. It's a weird thing to say. She's pretty. She's probably dead in a ditch somewhere as a result of it. What? No. Oh God. I don't know what that link means. Beer, joint, me. Um,
Yeah, there's a very strong resemblance.
yeah. Yes. Dazed and confused. There's some serious chest beating, and I think we both know who would win. That lady in the blue skirt, I'll admire, she has appetites, and she is willing to express them, which is healthy. I've seen American Graffiti, but I haven't seen Dazed and Confused. It's a film that just never drew my interest. It's one of those. I have that thing when everyone goes on about a drama in a certain way. I'm just like, I don't care. It's gonna be naff. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I instinctively go no. So.
I've not seen either of them, I'm afraid.
American Graffiti was interesting, and I mostly watched it for the rocker culture element of it. But there was some really good tunes in it. But it's a stoner film, totally 90s culture. It's like Empire Records. Yeah, but Empire Records had gore in it, so that made it worth it. Oh, great. Oh, God. Oh, these are not classy people. How are you feeling?
Yeah, that was that was probably what got Michael Bay to leave the cinema, wasn't it?
If it was, then I have respect for him, a little bit more respect for him. But I'm still like, you produced it, you idiot. Your name is on it. You should have checked. If you're the head honcho, no one else can play. I will think about giving Dazed and Confused a go then after I've seen the soundtrack to make totally happy.
I really want Jason to kill someone with the little Santa now.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. Oh God! If she had Jason versus Krampus.
Yes.
That would be. Oh God, is he about to hump that dummy? What?
Oh.
Okay. Set in the 70s. Not interested then. Ooh. Well, that's got something to it. I think it suits him. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I quite like that bit. I mean, he really could have done with killing that guy about 3 minutes earlier, so we didn't have to watch the chat up of the mannequin and the licking of the magazine.
I think it was justifying the murder of the hick. Because, like, until that point, he was just a guy. He was, his only crime was manual labor, which in this film obviously is enough to justify your death. But they had to establish that he was degenerate manual labor person to justify him just getting ganked for the crime of being there. Unless he was nicking... Oh, no, he was nicking the weed, wasn't he? That's probably the vague justification for it. Oh, we're obviously
You're ahead of me.
Yes. Still, thanks for the heads up.
Oh, here we go. Yep, we're there now. Do you reckon there's a shark in this lake?
That would be brilliant.
Yeah. Jason. Yeah.
Instead of Finn, it's... That is horrific. I props for the soundtrack, but if Jason doesn't appear and knife her, then I'm going to be a little bit indifferent. Oh!
Hello. Oh no. Oh, I see where this is going.
Oh! Yet somehow
not quite as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Not as bad as the arrow to the head. I mean, that was just...
I thought she was going to try and dive under the boat to get away from being hit, and they get caught on the prop. So
mostly for you to be dead. I guess it adds to the sense of vulnerability, but it was still tits for tits' sakes. Maybe, I don't know, some people... Maybe I'm a prude. That's not a good sign. Well, it's a good sign, but it's not a... You know what I mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not being too predictable.
That was old school. That was old school. I'm going to be honest.
Yep.
I don't know what it is about the last. Something seems to have just changed a bit, and it's becoming its own film. Like about the first 30, easily the first 40 minutes were very much sticking, trying to redo
Call
the
back
previous
to
stuff.
what we'd seen before. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, I don't know, from like the water skiing incident onwards, it seemed to have had its own. I mean, obviously, as I said, that kill, definitely old school, but it had its own thing to it. It was a little bit of a hark back in the style, but it was definitely just getting on. So it seems to have picked up. It's nice. But as I said, we know the stakes. At the moment, this is. Yeah, as Ty actually said, they're not being too predictable. But unfortunately, because they've showed the hand so early.
I do wonder if they got a lot of the early kills in because like those were the callback ones, and it's sort of like a right. People are expecting this, so we'll get that out of the way and then move on to do something different.
Maybe. I mean, opening with the 5 kills was pretty solid. But as I said, it established the risk, it established the dangers, it established what Jason could do. You can remember in 1 we had no clue. In 2 we were you had that whole Jason Voyercam thing. And in 3 it was still kind of, hang on, isn't he dead sort of thing going on. But they've just established real early.
That's interesting. He's turned the lights on.
This is a really interesting Jason. There's a lot more intelligence to him. He's not on autopilot, if you get what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Did we need to see that? Again, shown us the risks.
Yeah.
But you were right about the locket, I guess.
Yeah, it's the only reason I can see that she's or she could still be alive.
It's got to be the locket. He's definitely a bit of a tinker tot. Not much of a... Not great with guests.
No.
I think that'll be the first hostage he's taken ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he just wants a hug. Everybody needs somebody, and he's got several of them. Sorry. Ooh.
She's doing all right for somebody who's been locked up for 6 weeks.
Well, she's not dead. Then she's pretty sane.
Oh yeah.
If he's giving her water, then
Ooh.
yeah, I would not rate his Airbnb rating has to be in the absolute pan, frankly. Other than some very select clientele, I would not encourage it for anybody. I'm sorry, I'm digging this Jason. He's very different, but there's something to him that is really solid. It's a great performance, I think. If he can hold it all the way through, we're to see. But based on this, I like the Jason. That's obviously a health and safety violation.
Okay, changing direction.
Yeah, I mean that's a different scene. That's a very specific wish for resurrection. His drink's on fire.
Blow it out.
That glass is going to be so hot. I called it.
So there was a moment.
Yeah. Have we established? Have we established why any of those people are there yet? Because he hates all of them.
He does. I think he's just trying to show off to people, but really does not like any of them.
And I thought the
I don't know
lady
why.
in the pink shirt. I have lost. But for the record, drunk woodwork, power tools, high intensity adhesives, alcohol. Always ends well, kids. Always. Yeah. Don't worry, I'm quite sure a lot of it's going to get used soon. That's some quality rum. He has literally found the key to the liquor shed. Oh, I like the fact they're all kind of awkward and all kind of confident. How is he going to wreck it? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very complicated mechanism. What? It's a perfectly reasonable response.
Yeah.
Someone has a breast obsession. Is he like a plastic surgeon or something? There's a window. There's a killer. Do you think it might be? Could
Yep.
it be? Yes. Smell the premarital sex. Smell it. What do you do now, Jason? There's a window. Come on! Oh.
Oh, this is just. It's like there's a dozen choices. Which one's it going to be?
I think my film is playing faster than yours. I'm at like 108. What are you at, Paul?
I'm at 109 now.
Yeah, 109. How are you gonna? I'm at 109. Okay, you're slightly. Plus, there's that little bit of lag. So yeah. Just
No, hasn't
no,
opened yet.
no spoilers. A
Completes
little
your
bit of
outfit.
postmodernism. I think that's about like the most postmodern it's been so far.
Oh, he's made an attempt. Nice and slow.
Oh, this is.
I think that's the
That
slowest
was,
kill we've had so far in the series.
yeah, that was pretty drawn out. We haven't had anything like seriously flashy yet. Like we've not had like a row flare in the mouth type stuff, but there's been some solid.
Hmm.
we're still nowhere near the freezer. We're laughing at. Think of Arsenal. Think of Arsenal. This has to be when Michael Bay legged it. That was gratuitous, but brilliant.
And those two now get the record for longest survivors after having sex in a Friday the 13th film.
And probably longest sex scene in a Friday. There's definitely.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know if there's any more sex in it, but it's a lot more sexual, and a lot more explicit, and a lot longer.
Mm.
Dead. How far? Tiger Chili, how far ahead are you? We still haven't got to the freezer.
Freezer, no.
Desperately waiting for a freezer to appear. Is it behind that bush?
Yeah.
Like a killer freezer we're not aware of? I believe there is a movie about a killer freezer as well. 113. We're at 113. What freezer are you talking about? Do you normally drink tea during this?
Because we were watching the DVD version, I guess, rather than the Netflix one.
Is there much of a difference? Oh,
apparently so. It's this whole deleted freezer scene. It's a difference, maybe.
No, I think we're watching the 1 hour 45 version, which seems to be like the standard. I double checked; it's the same on Netflix, unless they fucking changed it since I checked it. Not that Netflix would do that regularly. Freezer in the shed when the Asian kid went to get tools to fix the chip. Right. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna give this guy
I
props.
love the
He's got
fact that he's decided to use that wok as a shield.
that's a perfect. I mean, it's not great, but it's like he's got a
I can
usable
see the
skill.
freezer. There it is. Yeah.
There it is. I mean, it's obviously the thinking and poker with torch in hand. I mean, that is the thinking of a stoner, but that is the thinking of a stoner who is out to get his bro. He's got his back. It's a shame that the back he's about to get is severely out of joint and no longer attached to the body. But he's going to get that. He's got that back. Oh, we're definitely at a freezer now.
There is. The freezer has just opened.
Oh, nice. Oh.
Ooh. And we're right by that saw as well.
Delay rules.
Yeah, it's weird why you're so far ahead of us. Oh, what a shot!
Oh!
Yeah, we'll let you know when we get to the right point.
Yeah, no. Jason's disappeared. That's an ambush. That's one smart improv ambush.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, it wasn't. Okay.
Oh,
That was messy.
That finished it.
They're down to 4. Jason.
That was quite a nice little cut.
Use. There. Window. He's a sprightly one.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they established the you can slow him down rule. And then he just threw the fucking axe. It's like, yeah, you can slow me down, but I've got ranged weapons.
Oh.
Jesus, we got like 40 minutes and 4 people. Put some shoes on. Your life will be better when you put some shoes on, woman. And some trousers, but definitely some shoes. Jesus Christ. Well, What is going on? Oh, the cops have turned up, which is nice.
We got a policeman turning up.
Yeah. That.
I can only assume that the Netflix version is shorter.
Yeah, I thought it was I do apologize. I do apologize. Still, you get to hear us whittle around things you haven't seen. Wait. No, that's a bad thing. So yeah, kids, if you've been watching the Netflix version of this rather than the video version of this, sorry. We promise we'll be organized much better when we do something like this again, if we ever do it. Yes, you did have a version on the, I know, I gave you spin it up. You've got time to spin it up, I'm sure. Wow, that officer sounds drunk.
Mm.
And that officer sounds there. Oh.
He did not last long.
That copper. Oh, that was.
Why is he upset about the guy having a gun?
Well, because he's an idiot. Got like 6 rounds left. You just killed his girlfriend. You just killed. Yeah, he killed Bree. Not me. Not me. Wasn't my bullets. I didn't do it. Wasn't me.
Yeah, definitely couldn't have been me shooting through that door.
No, definitely wasn't me shooting by and doing an Oscar Pistorius. Oh, that's just grim. They're going for the car. They're going for the car. That is hilarious. Yeah, I have a curious feeling Netflix took out a lot of the sexy time.
Even now? He's got a nice scream, doesn't he?
He sure does scream pretty. Yes, they're now running through the woods. Oh man, that is going to clog the filters. That is going to clog the filters. Something chronic. But you know, hiding his kill, kind of, I guess. That was a lovely shot. Timestamp. We've got.
We're just coming up to 123. But yeah, so
that means
douchebag guy's just fallen in the water.
About 20 minutes to go, something like that. Yeah, douchebag's just totally. Oh, time stick. 12:23. Sorry, 1:23. And whose vehicle is that?
I was going to say, who's?
Is that the granny?
Oh, it's ominous, isn't it?
We've got the truck stop attendant. We've got. I'm trying to think who else exists in this. Oh right. It's some guy we've never met before who's just doing a legger. It's Crazy Ralph. Just happened to be there, was trying to be nice, and now that's just pure. That was just showing off. But I'm really glad he did that because the guy was an absolute twat. So
yeah, I think we can forgive that.
that was satisfyingly. Oh yeah, dear diary, mood apathetic. Yeah, just absolutely. He spends his whole time listening to Thursday and Dashboard Confessional. Has to be.
Yeah.
Well, I did like this, Jason, and then someone who will remain a nameless viewer. Stop it! You're being mean. With his emo puppy tilt head thing.
I've got a video of German Shepherd puppies tilting from one way to the other with the ears flopping all over the place. And it's,
oh god,
the kind of thing you can just watch for hours on loop.
Yeah, now you'll always associate that with Jason Voorhees. Because an audience member who will remain nameless.
Little puppies with masks.
This is my last chance, mate. We still got Trash or Treasure on Thursdays, so. Yes, you are. But not as evil as those kids that decapitated Jason's mum, causing him a lifetime of trauma. This guy has done so much tunneling. It's an impressive set of work, that.
It's got a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Another little callback. Was that number 2?
One of my favorite kills in number 2. Gave all that almost supernatural touch to the whole thing before Jason went supernatural. I mean, this one is definitely aiming at the not supernatural element. So I don't know if that's good or bad. We'll get to that later. Yeah, we're not going to try and whistle together because that'll go horribly out of sync. But yeah. Oh, the emotional coming together. I don't know what you mean, but I imagine it involves you enjoying his presence greatly. Whoa, shit.
Yep.
Here we come. I take it that's the other one of the brothers from Supernatural. As I said, I watched all 5 seasons of it. I just can't. It was so long ago. I can't remember their names. Hey, I'm able to do logical deduction. Oh, it's getting a little bit. Oh no, I can remember the name of the 2 characters. It's getting a little Terminator-y, which I like.
Oh, going through a small tunnel like that. Who's going to get pulled backwards?
Oh,
Okay, I was wrong.
oh!
I was expecting it to last a bit longer than that.
It's back to the 2 survivors. Oof!
Burn it all down. That is one flammable mine.
That is. Yeah, I'll go first, meaning my sister will probably get ganked by the monster. Could be flammable. I just don't get why it would be. The school bus in the middle of the woods.
Oh, it's an overturned bus. It would have been funny if Jason had picked him up and chucked him and he'd pulled the girl out at the same time.
Yeah. And we're back to the lone woman. Oh, God. Yes. New Jersey,
Well,
renowned for its
I guess.
whole theme. Well, either he didn't make it or he's going to have a flash recovery. One of the two. I'm not sure after having his face pushed through a glass plate. Hey! Oh, he's.
Okay.
Hey, they foreshadowed it.
Mm. Ah, here we are. The shed with the upper level.
And the impressive collection of industrial farm equipment. He's got a tiny little knife from somewhere. I'm not quite sure what he's planning on doing with it.
Given he was behind them, I'm not entirely sure why they're so convinced he's in front now.
Because he has been appearing all over the place and they know he's got a tunnel system.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Boom! Ooh, nice dodge.
Right at the very beginning.
Hey, why not? Oh dear. I just want a heck of a wood chipper. Run away!
Yeah.
Take the shot. Oof. Quite the aftermath. And that poor crazy Ralph. He's gonna. What the hell do you do with the body when you get it impaled on your car like that? Okay. That's a road. That's the proof you didn't kill anyone?
Mm-hmm.
That's the bad sound. Oh God!
I was just expecting him to come out of the water. Yeah,
It was a lovely because they had that lovely open shot.
I was expecting him to come out in front, not behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That had like a couple of good jump scares in there. I'm gonna give it that. Oof. So
that was the last one.
That was the last one. Okay. We've got two sections to this. What did we think of this? And then we got the series. So let's try and. I mean, let's Jason.
Start with this particular film.
Let's start with this particular film, and let's start with the Jason. I put my cards on the table about him.
Yeah.
What are your feelings?
This was a different style of Jason, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There was much less of the stalkery Jason, I felt, and he seemed a bit more sort of dynamic in his sort of movements and his kills almost.
Yeah.
There was a lot of nice callbacks to the previous Jasons. I mean, certain things that he did, but it did feel it was a different take on Jason, certainly.
And it didn't feel to me like a continuation of any of the previous lines, because we saw a steady evolution. Even with Kane Hodder's work, we saw a steady. There was a continuity of movement and a presence between Jasons that this didn't have. So this was definitely a new Jason, which is nice.
Yeah,
and I think it's a reboot, Jason that worked.
Yeah, so
it also.
It was also we didn't see a lot of people getting any hits in on this Jason. So when we first started seeing Jason, you could knock him down and run away. And then later on, after he got a bit juiced up on lightning and stuff like that, he became almost impervious to anything. But this one, we didn't even see people land a blow on him until that final fight, I don't think. I don't remember anybody doing more than the occasional thump.
The stoner in the shed very clearly put a large piece of metal through his leg, and that very clearly slowed Jason down. There were a number of shots landed on him. It's just that, and we definitely before the final sequence, but there weren't that many because he was ambushing people really effectively and overpowering. So I didn't feel cheaped on that. I think he was just outright. He was using his bulk, and he had speed. That's the thing. This time he had speed, so a lot of shots that were landing on him, he was either missed. A lot of shots taken at him either missed because he moved out of the way, failed because he was up too close for them to get any power behind it, or he was shedding a lot of them. There were a lot of times he was taking hits, but he was rolling with them. So that I felt it was firmly established that if you got the shot on him, he was going to slow down, especially with Stoner Guy. But that you were going to have to work a lot harder to get a shot on him. So I didn't feel cheaped. If you did, you did. But I definitely there were less shots.
I didn't feel diminished by it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not convinced about Industrious Jason, because that's an awfully. They really went to town on the underground lair, and like, why?
We lost a bit of the opportunism, didn't didn't we?
I think it was a different opportunism. There were more planned.
There was a lot more elaborate things going on as well.
What do you mean? Expand on that, if you could be so
Well,
kind.
like so the girl who was in the tent, he came through the tent and grabbed her. Now, normally in sort of previous films, he would have killed her then and there, but this time he put her in a sleeping bag. He strung the sleeping bag up over the fire and let her burn, which is a much more sort of elaborate way of killing someone. Whereas previously he was very much, I've got something to hand, or I've just got my hands, and that's what's going to be used to kill you there and then. There wasn't an awful lot of delayed kills.
I think what they were doing there was because that lured the boyfriend out who got his foot in the trap. So as a lure, I could buy that. However, the trap made it too elaborate. So if Jason had just appeared and capped the boy, ganked the boyfriend there and then, I would have bought it as a woodsmanly opportunist trap. I do agree that was a lot more planned than we're used to, and a lot less dynamic tech. However, the mask was pure opportunism. A number of the machete kills, but we had the strong connection between the machete established a couple of times. The whole it killed his mum, and also whenever he attacked with the machete, he tended to go for the head. So that I didn't have a problem with. But like the first kill in the shed, he used the weapon that the kid attacked him with. The kid, he turned the weapon around on him. There were a number of opportunists. There were less opportunist attacks, and it felt less opportunist. Also Stoner Guy, who took the axe to the back. That was 100% weapon of opportunity. It was there. He picked it up, took the shot. So there was less, but there was still a number of opportunist attacks. But I totally get what you mean about that one with the bag. I totally get what you mean about the sleeping bag. That was just that felt a bit too convoluted and out of place. But yeah, it's a different type of opportunism. Not sure about the bow. It's like if you're that good a shot with a bow and arrow, why aren't you doing it more? You get what I mean?
Well, it came out of nowhere, didn't it? It was just there was no sort of lead up to it. There was no sign of it beforehand. It's just bang out of the blue, basically. So
he headshotted someone in an enclosed space, doing that must have been what 20-30 miles an hour.
Yeah, on a speedboat. Yeah. So that's one hell of a shot. And as I say, there was no lead up to it. There was no sort of indication. It was very much we want a shock kill. How do we get a shock kill in the middle of the water?
It was a very cool kill, but yeah, I'm going to agree with you. That didn't like that
felt cheating.
Yeah, but it did lead up to that amazing pull and dump gag under the pier, which I liked that. I'm going to ask straight ahead. What did you think of the sex in it? Because we've established that Michael Bay had an issue with it. It is definitely a very different style and level of sex than what we're used to. How did you feel?
I did think there was too much in there. There was certainly, it was a lot more gratuitous. It didn't, and there's a couple of icky bits as well, especially with the guy who like licked the poster and stuff. It's like
that was pretty grim.
Yeah,
I think
it's like the topless water skiing was obviously just chucked in there for the sake of getting another young girl to take her top off, which
I kind of liked some of it in that it was other than it was fairly sex positive. I mean, people weren't being killed for having sex; they were killed for being encroaching on his territory. Rather than anything else. So it was fairly sex positive, which is cool. And I got what they were trying to do with that sex scene when the sister was legging it, but it was really OTT. But yeah, I wasn't offended by it. I just didn't think it really.
No, I think they could have just lost some of those just for the sake of pacing, really. Yeah.
It was more of a pacing issue than anything else for me. But they didn't have any sexualized violence, which I thought was important.
No, it's good.
That I think is a big no-no for me. Well, not big. You know what I mean? It's not cool. Okay, a favorite kill.
Yeah. For a long time, it was the girl who'd survived the boat, and we suddenly got the shot down between the planks and into the head. But then it was the one, the police officer who turned up, because it came in unexpected. We weren't expecting it, and they did a nice camera angle which went from the police officer and then flipped onto the other side of the door, and you saw it coming all the way through the door to the other two people on the other side, like, oh, you know. So I really quite liked the whole combination of both surprise and how that scene was actually shot. So that, I think, was my favorite one.
I think that one was definitely the most.
What about you?
I think that one was definitely the most impressive, because there weren't that many impressive takes. There was that really drawn out one, but that was long and drawn out rather than impressive. As I said, there's no road flare to the mouth, like really out the box. What's going on? I'm gonna stick with Girl Under the Pier, because that both of us giggled at that. That was old school. That was playing to the crowd. I happily accept that, but it was just really well done. It was a really good playing to the crowd, doing something a bit new, doing something. I think, to me, that was the point where it established that they were that was around about where it got into its stride and became its own thing, and did something different. Because we're kind of used to those. The previous gags we've had on that would be. He goes up the pier, he goes down the pier, she comes out, and then he jumps up behind her. I was kind of like all ready for that. And then it's just, no, it's bang, boof, boff. That quickness and rapidity. That's probably the one that stuck with me. Most of them were quite, all right, though. I mean, they were quick and they were sudden and all that, but they just didn't have they didn't have that murderous flair. Like, the one we harked back to, the wheelchair kill from 2, which you barely saw any blood. It wasn't that long, but that was a shot. I think that shot we spoke about for like about 5-10 minutes. We pulled that apart and all of that. It didn't have that kind of care in any of the kills, other than the one you mentioned with the door. Which was cool. So, okay, I'm gonna go. Oh, okay. Later.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Don't forget to log back in. Don't forget to log back in and see how this rated. So here's the question. Obviously, this was a huge change on the prior works.
Yeah.
Huge change. How do you feel about it as a reboot?
I think it was a nice modern take on what we had before. And the first 40 minutes of it, I think it was, felt a bit, we need to go through what's happened previously in the earlier films, just to sort of recover all of those bits. But then once it was done with that and it moved into its own thing, I really started to enjoy it as its own individual film. With its different sort of style of pace and different angles of camera shots and things like that. There were some really nice ones when they sort of panned from something that just happened to Jason standing somewhere, like on the roof or something like that. They looked really well.
And that also gave a different dynamism to him. It was like he could be. You remember that shot in 6 I absolutely loved where Jason was following that girl as she walked past the window, and it established how you never saw Jason because he was just always in the right place and not being seen. It was similar to that shot in that it established, like that in the tunnels kind of established, Jason could be coming anywhere, not because he's a super magical mystic being, but because fuck me, he can jump up on a roof because he's a live little bugger. Yeah. I think I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Say. I'm gonna put my cards on the table. I think they had a very messy situation where everyone knew what Friday the 13th was about. They needed to restart it, but they needed to do something new, but they couldn't do anything that different. I think because the premise is so simple and straightforward, I think they had a very difficult way of trying to reintroduce it. I just don't think laying down the risks and laying down the story that early into it was a great decision, because it meant the mystery we had definitely in 1 and the mystery in 2 were kind of gone. And then from 3 onwards, it was the how is Jason back? How is this going to play out? The actual like subplots became the interesting thing. In this, it was very much Jason's here and he's going to kill everyone. The threats were known, the dangers were known, and because they'd established how much of a killing machine he was at the start, it was like, yeah, everyone's going to die, you know it. But what else could they have done? You get what I mean? Because I'm saying that, but I can't think how I'd have done it better. Yeah. But yeah, as a reboot, is it something that would
as a reboot? I think it worked well. I think, it brought it up. It had paid enough homage to the original ones, and it brought it up to date. So yeah, I think as a reboot, it worked quite nicely.
As a franchise reboot, how do you think? How did it feel to you? Because as with all the other ones, this is, especially given the era, this was when the large Final Destination was on film 5. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was redoing the rounds. They were looking at redoing Nightmare on Elm Street. Saw was clocking up numbers ridiculously. Hostel was getting a sequel. I mean, how do you feel as a franchise reboot that makes you feel? As opposed to like a Friday the 13th reshoot as an ongoing...
Yeah. I think it was probably about the right time in the franchise to do it. The Freddy versus Jason one seemed to be going down the wrong route for me in terms of the film. Jason X had gone down the almost sort of very comedy-esque one, being very self-aware and making fun of the series itself. So
that was
in terms of the whole
franchise,
I think it was, it was about time.
But
it was a good point to do it.
Would it make you feel excited about another one in this timeline? Do you think there's much direction they could go, or much more you could see happening with it? Because the problem I've got with it, the reason I asked that is because they've really done everything they can to base that one in reality, right? And then he jumped back out of the lake after being dead.
Yeah,
that's quite...
yeah, in terms of a new series, I don't think they could do many more in that style. Just sort of because they did so much in that one, they crammed 4 films worth into that one. That it just doesn't feel like they left themselves much scope to do much more with it. And anything else would just be kind of like a repeat of what's been done.
Well, they'd either have to tie back to they'd have to do a Halloween and tie back to probably about Jason 9, probably around Goes to Hell, or reboot the reboot, or just go in a completely different direction. I mean, obviously they can do whatever they want; it's their own series. But for me to actually feel any connection, I think that they'd have. It just doesn't have. I'll bring in Tommy. I think they're painting themselves into a corner so much.
They kind of, yeah. And it's been 11 years, 11 years since that film came out. So obviously they didn't think that there was much more they could get out of it.
Oh, we'll get onto that later. Yeah. Anything else you got to say on this one?
No.
I think it was the one positive thing I'll say is I think this was absolutely of its era. As I said, the shooting style, the visual style, was very of that era. It was very the color scheme, just the way it looked. Apart from the fact it was shot by the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, who had kind of set that was one of the ones that really established the new retro look, where which is being used in that horror. I think it felt so much of its era compared to everything else. It totally pushed it as its own continuum. So that's a thing. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think so.
You have any other thoughts?
Would we like to move on to the Hall of Fridays?
We are going to move on to the Hall of
Yeah,
we're going to move on to the Hall of Fridays, and we're going to move on to the induction. Now, I am going to ask you before we move any further. Are there any changes you would like to make to the hall? Are we still feeling confident? And is there any way I can get you to make a final decision on these four?
Yes. So
any reevaluations?
So I'm going to move the New Blood above Jason Takes Manhattan.
You're moving New Blood above Jason Takes Manhattan because you really just did not gel with that one at all, did you?
No, I liked part of the film. Part of the film was really good, and then that second half just
Okay.
Didn't do it for.
I'm gonna slide it like so. Okay.
Bring them down a bit so they're just above Freddy versus Jason.
Right, both of them. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And then we can bring Jason Goes to Hell, A New Beginning, and Jason X all down a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Now, 2 and 3, I do think are very much of a muchness because they do feel like part of the same story.
I'm just moving the top to have a bit more space to play.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So I think 2's going to go above 3.
That sounds fair.
It's difficult call because, as I say, I do feel they are part of the same story, but I'm just going to put 2 above 3.
I have to agree with that one, and I'm gonna suggest that's a fair call because I think 3 loses something because of the fucking about with 3D factor.
Yeah, there was just a little bit too much of it in that one, wasn't there? So where does the new one come?
Where does Friday the 13th go? So you've got your.
I'm going to put it in third place. I'm
You're
going to put
putting
it
it
in
in
third
third
place. I'm going to put it
place.
after the final. Yeah, I'm going to put it after the final chapter.
That's bold. Okay.
Yeah, it's. See, this is again. It's like another two-part film. Because the first part of it was recapping those previous ones, but then the second part was its own thing. I did like the final chapter because it rounded the story off and finished up things, and that was quite
I'm just.
But yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. It told its own story in its own way.
Okay.
It did something new and fresh, and it felt different enough to sort of distinguish it, I'm going to say.
But you still think final chapter is the... Because it was... I can hardly see these. So it was part 6 was the one that we just thought was like the consummate... That was just like the most Jason-y of Jasons. Final chapter was when it finished the 1 to 3 run.
Yeah.
Part 2 and 3, as we discussed, they were just a continuation and running through.
Yeah.
Jason X.
It's because I found it so funny.
Very funny, but it was a little
funny.
too off the mark. New Beginning. You were quite
it
keen
was.
on that.
It was very odd, but yeah.
You. Yeah. Okay. I'm
less keen.
I'm very happy with where you are with Friday the 13th. I'm not convinced about the second Friday the 13th being in the third place, but I totally get why you've made that call, and I can totally respect that call. I think 2 and 3 were kind of... Yeah, I'll buy that. Here we go. So
they were really solid Friday the 13th, yeah.
But they were really solid Friday the 13th, but they were very in the wheelhouse. Is that what we're saying? So, final order is 1, 4, 12, 6, 2, 3, 10, 4, 9, 8. No, sorry, 7, 8. And Freddy versus Jason at the bottom. Just, yeah. I can't argue with the bottom. I still think there were nice bits in Jason Takes Manhattan.
There were. So the first part of that was really good Jason film, and then just towards the end they ruined it.
Okay. Well, I did say at the start of this was your haul to decide, and you have decided.
That's my list. And if I go back and watch them, I'll probably change it all around completely.
Oh yeah, but are you likely to go back and? So here we have.
Certain of them I would watch again. Yeah.
Which ones would you watch again? I'm hoping mostly the top half.
Yeah, I'd definitely watch the first 4 again. And honestly, once I'd watched the first 4, 5 and 6, I would probably go into straight away.
Yeah.
I'd watch Jason X again as a comedy.
Yeah.
And that's probably it. The remake I might watch again.
Yeah. Anyway. So that was where it all ends up. And yeah. Because next week, nothing. Because that's where the series ended. Would you like to know what happened next?
That's it.
Would you like to know what happened next? Okay.
What happened next?
So, sit down and I will tell you a story. So, shortly after the reboot, the 2 producers expressed an interest in producing another Friday the 13th, which is nice. And then in October 2009, Warner Brothers announced it planned to release the Friday the 13th sequel on August the 13th, 2010. Then on December 10th of 2009, they pulled the sequel from the planned release slots. So they basically, this happened and they went, right, we're going back to the year routine. And then no, nothing. In 2010, Fuller announced the remake was off, essentially because, this is fun, neither studio could afford the cost to make it because they were both in financial difficulty, right? But neither studio would walk away from the sequel and allow the other one to move forward as the primary production house, because they were like, well, if it's a success, which as we've seen it will be, they'll make all the money and we'll look like right idiots. So yeah, they just basically froze. No one could agree to do it because everyone was worried about being the person that didn't do it. 2013, Warner relinquished its rights to the series back to Paramount because and then a week after that, Derek Mears revealed Paramount was working with Platinum Dunes to make a new installment as fast as possible. Paramount set the film for May 13th, 2016. And then in October 2015, pushed back the film to January 13, 2017. Then in September 2015, pushed back to October 13th, 2017. January 13th, working title was reported as Friday the 13th, Part 13. And Platinum and Dunes were looking for someone to play a young Voorhees, and production was definitely going to begin March 7th, 2017. Then in February,
definitely
officially cancelled the project. So it was like February the 6th. So about 3 weeks after announcing it, they went, nope, not doing it. Then we get to the kicker. In 2018, the rights to the franchise reverted to New Line Warner Brothers. And then Victor Miller, who wrote the original Friday the 13th screenplay, asserted that Horror Inc. derived its current copyright to the screenplay from Miller's transfer of copyright to Horror Inc.'s predecessor in interest, the Manny Company, right? So basically he went, this is mine. I gave you the rights. It's all gone. All this jumbly means it reverts to me. However, producer Sean S. Cunningham claims Miller wrote the screen for Friday the 13th as a work for hire for the Manny Company, rather than Miller essentially giving the rights to it to the Manny Company that then went and became all the other stuff. And there was some action in 2018, and there was some in 2019. But basically, the whole thing kept on getting stuck in litigation all the way from 2018 through 2019. In February, there was some court going backwards and forwards. There were some decisions made, but in February 2020, the legal case went back to court, allegedly to be resolved in June 2020. However, that was February 2020. The world changed quite.
Stuff happened.
Then everything happened, and that's the last place it's been. It was there was supposed to be an announcement on it, but essentially, it's hit right as hell. And we're talking about rights that were signed 40 years ago, with a whole load of chains of companies that have changed hands. So, just working out that chain is going to be a nightmare. The whole thing the thing that killed Jason was lawyers. And it's one of the few series that's got this problem. I mean, even Leprechaun is looking at having a solid reboot happen because a lot of people just went. But this is the problem, though. As we've seen, this is a utterly reliable, money-making machine. You know, this movie was this came out 30 years after the original, and it absolutely creamed it. Even when we liked it because it was a Jason movie, but it's not that great a movie, if you get what I mean. And it's still packing them in, and people just went, "I want some damn cash on this," because the whole thing was done so rapidly with that whole rapid production cycle created this situation we're in now, where it's Jason's still one of the most beloved horror characters, but he's barely been out of the box, which sucks. Yeah. That's everything that's happened in the last 10 years of it.
Bit of a sad ending, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
if it is an ending.
This year, the box set came out of all the movies, and that has my understanding is that took about 4 or 5 years to negotiate the let's do a single box set of Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that is money for old rope doing a DVD re-release. Obviously, you got to put some production value into it and all that, but you're essentially going, hey, we're putting out on Blu-ray all that stuff that you've already bought, but we got it in a different wrapper. And that took that long to get the rights sorted. When everyone involved in just like, but I'll make money. It's like, yeah, but I want to make more than him and all. So yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's a pretty inglorious ending to what was essentially a 10-year run of coke and red food coloring
that pulled in almost $1 billion at the box office.
Yeah, but what other movies have made $1 billion?
I don't know.
Made $1 billion.
That's about $1 billion in modern money.
Avengers: Infinity War made $1 billion. But that was $400 million to make.
Yeah.
So in its first cinema run, that clocked up. Yeah. In modern cinema, we're looking at here we go. Captain Marvel. The most recent example is Captain Marvel. And that cost, I've got it listed here as around 200 million. And that's built on the shoulders of all the stuff that's come before. So that's made $1 billion. You know, that it took that long for Captain Marvel to make $1 billion, and it cost that much money to do. And Friday the 13th sits there and just goes, yeah, easy, fuck it. Which is insane. Still, did you have fun?
Yeah, I did. Thank you very much for suggesting that idea in the first place, because I did enjoy that series of films. They were entertaining.
What did you think?
Which is all I can
what did you think to the series as a whole, as a journey, as an experience?
Yeah, as I was expecting it to sort of go downhill very quickly, but as a whole, it told a nice story to start off with. It then riffed about with that story with later ones, did some nice comedy elements, and then sort of came back to tell the story again in the reboot. So as a whole, I think the series itself worked quite nicely.
Is this something you'd want to do with another series at some point in the future?
Quite possibly. Yeah, I think we should definitely have a think about that.
We will definitely.
And pick something suitable.
You get to pick this time. Anyway, that has been the entire...
I shall have a look and think about it.
Sweet. That has been the entire Paul and Andrew watch all of Friday the 13th. I have been Andrew. It's been fun. You can follow more of this kind of stuff at bunkerzilla.co.uk or Bunkerzilla Stomping Grounds on Facebook and on YouTube at Bunkerzilla UK.
Thank you very much for joining us for all of these films here on Bunkerzilla Twitch, the home of geek culture on the UK. Take care, everyone.
Bye!